there's always a way. There's always more than one way to the top of the mountain.
Okay. Yeah.
There is not just one way. There will be 10 ways to climb to the top of the mountain. Some will be challenging, some will be easier. The trail one will be the easier one, but then you can still go up to the mountain through a helicopter. You can still climb up through a rock climbing. There are many ways to climb up. So there's always a way out.
That's a good point.
This is a belief in my life that there is always a way out to every single thing.
Hey everyone, this is Shruti. Welcome to my podcast, I'm Just Curious, where I talk of all things I'm curious about with the people I'm curious about and how they turn their passion into their profession. In today's episode, I'm talking once again with India's youngest and the first space architect. She has won a Youth Global Icon Award and she's the founder of the Aastha Space Studio. And I'm glad to today sit down again with Aastha and pick her brains about how she dreams big and how she's so ambitious. Hi Aastha, how are you?
Hi Shruti, I'm very well. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming again on the podcast. It's really amazing to have you back. And we spoke about your journey of becoming a space architect, an architect and working in different areas like interior design and everything. But today we are specifically going to talk about how do you dream that big? Like space architecture is something which is so far-fetched. And to dream that kind of a dream, you have to have a certain mindset. So today we are going to talk about that mindset of yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is nervous and that is very exciting because that's like digging down the roots of a tree. Going into my brain is like that.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. So I want to talk to you today about like your mindset and everything that you dream so big and it's not that easy and you have to have a certain kind of mindset that allows you to dream that big and be ambitious. So talk to me about that. Were you always as a child ambitious or did you grow ambitious when you found your passion?
Yes, that's a very interesting question because that defines the whole energy and the power that lies within myself. That is the fuel of my life. So when I was young, until my 4th grade, I was staying with my grandparents because we were going through a lot of financial challenges. My parents could not basically afford me at that time, though they had. And then after my 4th grade, I moved back with my parents. But like my dad grew from a very small, very basic things. So anytime I could not, when we would go for this out in the city, and anytime I could not afford anything, I would tell myself that one day I'm going to get it and I'm going to work hard for it. Yeah. But I did not know that what exactly I wanted for myself in my life until I went to this NASA Space Academy. At the age of 13, I went to my first trip abroad, this at Huntsville, Alabama Center.
By yourself?
Yes. So basically my dad funded it, but the students who were scholar in the school, they were invited if they want to participate into this academic program. And for me, it was a golden opportunity because I was traveling for the first time abroad. So that helped me a lot to see another part of the world. It basically opened my horizon, let's say that. And during that academic, we were given a lot of tasks. But one was to design something on a lunar base. And I got an award for that. So in that moment, I got, okay, I want to become a space architect. And then I went on to pursue architecture. So then by that time, I exactly knew that I want to build a name for myself. I want to do something which I've never done before. And I want to find that pathway for myself. So I can say that I was always ambitious. Yeah. Because I don't know how, I don't know why. But in this, I don't really believe this thing. But my mom always used to say that you have this fire sign, that your birth sign is a fire sign. So maybe you are always high on your temperature.
Well, what sign are you?
I'm Sagittarius and Aries together.
Okay.
So people say like, oh, I don't believe in these things, but maybe that is, if we look according to this Hindu astrology thing, that might be the case. So I was always ambitious.
Yeah, it's true. Because I'm also a fire sign. I'm an Aries.
Oh,
so that's why I think, when I say that, I see a lot of myself in you in terms of that fire and everything. Yes. It's true maybe. Yeah.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah. So, but then your mom saw something in you that you could not see.
Yes.
Kind of like that?
Yes, that is also another thing. Because, so when my parents were growing from very small basic things, there was a lot of insecurities because you don't have a strong background at that time. So my mom and both my dad, they will always be insecure of so many things. So when your parents are insecure, they try to make sure that you have a better future for yourself. Mm. So they kind of push you in so many different things. So while I was even in the school time, my mom will take me to swimming, she would take me to horse riding classes, she would put me in painting classes. She never let me stay at home and rest or take afternoon naps that most of my age group would take after finishing their school. So I think I've been doing a lot of activities while I was growing up, and that was also motivating me to stay positive and optimistic towards my life.
Yeah. What are some of the tools, like as you mentioned that you do a lot of activities that help you to be positive?
Yes.
And not many people, many people who come from that kind of a hardship will form a mentality and attitude that will not allow them to move forward. Apart from that drive and that fire, like what according to you, like it's there in you that because anybody watching will feel like, oh, it's nice, because they would have heard your story and they would be like, oh, it's nice to do. I would also love to go to NASA and space. But now that they know it was not easy for you,
Yes.
it didn't happen. Like you worked for it. And where do you think that comes from? Like,
Yes. So we are all so fortunate in one thing, and that is time. Time doesn't stop. So even if you're going through a bad time, it is not going to stop. It's going to pass away. So anytime you would have a bad day or a bad month, I would think this is not my life. This is just a phase of my life. So I'm very grateful to understand, have this maturity to understand that time never stops. So there are going to be a sunny day. There is going to be a rainbow after a rainy day for sure, because it doesn't always rain, right? And that was one thing, and then I knew that most of the things that I want to pursue in my life are in my hands, and it is not in anybody else's hands. So basically, I was not dependent on anyone for my own happiness. I was always dependent on myself. So when you have the decision in your hands, why would you not take the best decision for yourself?
Very good point. That like decision making, what you can control, working on that is in your hand to make that decision. That what I can control, I will work on that. Is my decision.
Yes.
But talk to me about, like, so many people, they work on it, they make a decision, but there is still, there, because time doesn't change overnight. I get what you mean, that time doesn't stop, but it doesn't move very quickly also. Sometimes when you're in a hard space, hard time, it doesn't move very quickly, and you might one day think that, okay, maybe I make a decision, but next day you will have a self-doubt.
Yes.
Talk to me about the moments where you had a self-doubt and then you picked yourself up, and talk to me about that.
Yes. So before I go on to that, to get yourself going is a discipline. That discipline is so important. And discipline gets you through your everyday. For example, I did a leg day at my gym. And legs I don't feel like getting up, but if I have the discipline to get up, I would make a decision and go. And that's when there is a decision, when you have the discipline, when you have the decision making, that's when the change happens. And that's when the growth happens. So that is very important. Oh, I have a lot of self-doubts. I have a lot of self-doubts.
But sorry to interrupt you there. Before going forward with that, like last night I was watching this one video, and the same thing, you talked about gymming, so that's why I'm bringing it up. There's this one guy, like in Hollywood, in LA somewhere, he was talking about his life. And he was talking about the same thing, that he's like a bodybuilder, he works out in the gym and everything. And so this guy asked him, like, why? Like, what are you telling yourself that's different? So he's like, once he had like a scan, like, a health scare, and then he went to doctor and he got a scan, and then the doctor just started asking random questions like, do you want to see your daughter's wedding, and how old, like, and at that time his daughter was not even born. Yes. And so he was like asking, and so he got freaked out, like, what is in the scan? Like, what is this doctor? And then he told me that by what I look in your scan, if you continue on that path, you're not going to be, there's somebody, a stranger, who's going to walk your daughter at her wedding. And like that just shifted his mind like completely. And since that day, he was like, every morning at 4 o'clock, I wake up, and he's like, even on days when I don't feel like waking up, I'm like, my daughter's wedding. Yes. So you talk about discipline, but I feel like there's got to be a stronger why. Do you have like something like that? He says that, oh, my daughter's wedding. Do you tell yourself a specific thing?
Yes.
What is it?
Almost every day.
What is it?
I don't tell a thing, but I have a picture of myself. That is so important. Like, that is extremely important. So every morning, not every morning, I would tell you, but when there are days when I just get distracted, when I feel like I'm hanging out a lot with my friends, and I'm just out of my track, then I know that I'm out of my track because I haven't been giving enough time to myself. And you can only get distracted when you don't give time to yourself. And so then I have this moment in my days then when I just go isolation for at least 15 minutes. I turn on my video. I have a very cinematic music. I have my favorite. I have a YouTube video. It is called cinematic music. It's just an instrumental music, but it's very inspiring music.
It takes you to a place.
Yes. So I close my eyes. I lie down on my bed, and then I see that Aastha, you had this vision for yourself. Get up, open your eyes. You were planning on to becoming this person. You had these things planned for yourself to achieve this vision. And look at you, where are you right now? So I will have this another person of myself who will shout at me and tell me, hey, get up, you are distracted. Like, this is not going to happen if you keep doing what you are doing right now. And then after the music is like, by the time it's over, I'm just out of my bed, and then I make sure that I do at least one thing that takes me towards my vision. If not today, then at least tomorrow. I plan that activity specifically. Right. It can be whether it's reading that book to take it further, it can be having a conversation or finding that opportunity. But you have to do a self-check. Let us call it self-check. Right. You have to do that like very frequently because we live in a very distracting world. So
cool. That, like, you know, that's a very good point. Like, to check in with yourself, like stop and have, like, as you have like a particular music, and it helps if you assign certain things to remind you that what your goal is. That also helps. You know, like music or playing a sport or doing an activity. You know.
And on top of this, I also have this bad or a good hobby, whatever you say, that if I want to pursue something, for example, I wanted to become a space architect. So I would write on a big paper, space architecture. And then I would place that paper. I will have a picture of it as my phone wallpaper, as my laptop wallpaper. I'll take a print out of it, I'll put it on the wall. So I will have these things everywhere around myself. So even I forget that thing, and if someone else is around me, they will say, oh, you wanted to become a space architect. Oh, I see your wallpaper. Oh, this is what. And that's when I get again reminded back that, hey, listen, this is why you have this. Get back on it.
That's very interesting. I also want to talk about what are some of the, like, say, self-check-in. What are some of the other routines that you've set for yourself, which are so important and which are basic, which anybody can do, and which are very important? What are some of those routines like?
Yes. So I think in the part one I told you about stoic routine.
And we forgot speaking about the self-doubt thing.
Oh yes. So do you want to?
Go in self-doubt and then we'll.
Okay, yes. I often have self-doubt, and I know that I'm not perfect. Because first of all, you have to accept the person you are. So then there is a chances of growth, and there is this filling the blanks that can be filled in. So I accept, for example, let's say that to become I am a space architect now, but I have a very big self-doubt. How will I get the space architectural projects? Like, this is not existing right now. How will I do that? But I know that one day it is going to happen. And then to overcome my self-doubt, I will look for the things that will make me confident. So what will make me confident? Even finding one option, if I'm exploring 1,000 opportunities, and if I'm able to grab up with one option, it can be even the research work. Like, even if I spend a day doing the research on space architecture on some of the subject, that will give me confidence that I'm working on that thing. So I immediately start working on the things which I feel like I'm lagging behind, which is giving me self-doubt. So that's how I get myself up.
And then what are the routines that you've set apart from self-check-in that you do? What are the other things that you've set and that other people can also do?
Yes, it is very important to have a balance in life. You cannot just keep on working, otherwise there will be a point where you are blasting off. And when that happens, it takes 3-4 days to get you back again on the track. And it is not mentally healthy. So what I do is I try to have a balance. On everyday basis, I try to make sure that I'm giving some time to my family and checking them, how they are doing. I talk to the people I love. I will spend like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day. I sometimes also gossip with my close friends. That is very healthy for their heart. So I think a person should always do some activity that is healthy for their heart and their mind and their soul. So I always make sure that I meditate for 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes a day will not take away my time as such. So I will meditate. I'm eating healthy. At least out of 2 times, we have 3 meals a day. So I'll make sure at least I have 2 times healthy meals, which is taking care of my health, which anyone can else do as well. Then talk to family, then work. It is so important to have an activity that stimulates your brain. Otherwise, you are kind of just basically living an animal life. If you wake up and if you sleep and if you eat and if you just run around, you are living an animal life. And we are social animals. We are the most intelligent species of animals. So why not make most of it?
You mentioned about mental health.
Yes.
You know, how, like, apart from these things, like you're talking to your family, have you ever had those instances where you felt like anxious, and you know, how have you coped with that? Like, as every one of us saw like certain kind of uncertainty in the, you know, because of the pandemic, and it was hard for everyone. But in those times, what are you telling yourself in those times?
Yes. I had a lot of anxiety when I was starting up with my Space studio. Before I was starting, I will explain with an example of my real life example. So before I started this studio, I was getting a lot of opportunities, people telling me that start this thing, you're so good at it, go for it. And I was kind of childish. I did not do much analysis on what will be my 5-year plan and how this will go and how will I generate an income. So I just went on to this government office in British Columbia in Canada while I was there, and I just registered the firm. And then, yes, I just went like that and I did it. It was a very instant activity. I thought that if I don't jump into this thing right now, then in future I will regret it. Take the first step, like just take it. Next 2-3 steps will come on its way. So I did it like that, and then I was like, okay, now I started, but what can I work on? Like, how do I start? So then I thought maybe I would take up a project. I'll create my own project, my own expedition project. And then I thought, okay, now who will help me out? So I looked for volunteers. So that is the thing, that is how we started. It's still a question on how do we actually generate a very good income into that, because it is a lot of self-investment also going in. So I do get anxiety, and I do get anxious, and I do get curious. And these are all very normal emotions. You are not out different person. You are just, this is normal emotions. So in this moment, you have to take a step back and observe, not react. Like, reaction is when you start thinking, oh, what will happen? How will it happen? And that will get you more and more sick. So you have to step back and you have to say, again, accept the reality. You have to step back, you have to stop, hold on to yourself, and then you have to take it slow. Then slowly you take, instead of taking 5 steps in a day, you take 5 steps in 5 days. And then you slowly start walking back quickly. There are going to be bumps and there are going to be bad roads for sure. But if we have a stronger legs and stronger mind power, like our willpower, then you are going to get out of it.
Yeah. You also mentioned meditation.
Yes.
You know, and there's so much curiosity people have these days about meditation and it helping with mental health and everything. If I had to ask you, what according to you is meditation? Like, because some people say it's focusing on the breath, some people say it's focusing on like just not having a thought. What according to you that you do works for you, and can you describe it? Like,
yes, there are 2 things that works in this. One is just being more self-aware, is meditation to me. Being self-aware of my behavior, being self-aware of my ambitions, of my goals, of my relationships, of myself. Just being aware in every moment. That is meditation to me. I'm even meditating here right now, talking to you. Because I'm in this moment. This moment is like meditation to me. If I'm working out, that is meditation to me. So I meditate. It's not like I just, when I'm sitting in silence, that is I'm meditating. I meditate throughout the day. Being in that moment, being aware of that moment is meditation.
being present.
Be present, basically. That is meditation to me. Another thing about the meditation is, one I told you is being more self-aware in that moment, being present. And second is just give some break to your brain. Like, because I think that in a day, a human being can have up to 70,000 thoughts. So
you've heard that statistic somewhere?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And then you have so many thoughts. So your brain is actively working. So for me, meditation is also like you just pause. So then it gets some time to recharge and think again. So that is also meditation to me.
So it's so good because so many people are like, and meditation word, I don't know, feels so heavy. The psychological reaction once you hear that word is like there's a lot of resistance that comes, and that's why normally you wouldn't have so many thoughts, but when you put that word that you're doing that, so many thoughts start coming up.
I will tell you, there's also another reason why some people feel that weight towards it, and while some doesn't.
Why?
It's because the people who are not aligned with the nature, they will always feel like, oh, it's so heavy. The people who are not aligned in the nature, in the sense like it's not just about they don't know what they want to do, but they don't have this feeling of serving in this world. The feeling of service, like I want to help people, I want to serve in this world. For example, not killing animals, not lying, not cheating. Some of the qualities are like being not wise, cheating, lying, taking advantage of. So when people possess more of those qualities, alcoholism, drug abuse, all of this.
When you abuse your body.
When you abuse your body, when you abuse other people. So when people are more focused into these things, so they are not aligned with their nature, with the laws of the nature. And when that doesn't happen, they are like, oh, meditation. It becomes a big heavy thing. They don't, and then when you talk about religion, culture, they're like, oh, just stop these topics. Not just this, but even when you will try to talk about intellectual topics, they will still not be interested into those, because their mind doesn't want to get out of that comfort zone to think on that perspective, because their mind is giving them the comfort in being an easy, comfortable life. And it is so easy to lie, but it is so difficult to tell the truth.
Yes.
Because we have to have the courage to tell the truth.
Yeah. And you have to be uncomfortable in the moment.
Yes.
But for the long run,
exactly.
Be comfortable.
Yes, exactly. And then there are these people who are like aligned in this nature. They feel like even if I'm losing something, but if someone else is getting, I want to be happy for if someone is getting, if I'm not getting. It's okay for me. Little bit selfless, little bit giving service, like giving heart. That is what will put you more towards nature, because nature is all about that, servicing and giving, and that will always push your mind towards spirituality, towards mindfulness, towards learning new religion, culture, exploring the world, traveling the world, talking to new people, learning new things. There are two ways our mind can go.
That's a very good thing. And yesterday, there's one more thing that this guy, the same guy that I was talking about previously, I think it was him, that he said that the emotion that you feel, like sadness or whatever, it's also not just what you feel, it's what you do. It's what your body does. So, because he just gave this example, like if you're depressed or if you have anxiety, your body is more like hunched down and like that. So you're also doing those things. But then he mentioned, like while working out and everything, if you work out, you will feel happy because of the chemicals that release and the endorphins and everything. So he's like, and at one moment, you can be only one thing. You can't be happy and thinking about a negative thought.
Yes. I'll tell you one thing. We basically humans have 5 things in our life.
Yeah.
One is a relationship, one is a career, one is a health, one is your hobbies, and there will be one more. Basically, we all are surrounded with 5 things. So when you cannot focus on one thing. When you focus on the one thing, you are excellent, you are outstanding on it. But you will always have more than one things in your life. So when you focus on 3 things in your life, that is when you will be best at. You will be able to take most of it.
Yeah.
And just in my life, out of my 5 things, I have 3 things. One is my health. Health is my first priority. Family is second, and third is my work. Friends come in my family. So it's so simple, like.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned how do you define? You mentioned something about the mindfulness and spirituality.
Yes.
How do you define that? Because you are also very spiritual. And what do you mean? Like, there is also so much confusion about when people say I'm spiritual or the spirituality. What do you mean when you say that I'm a spiritual person? What according to you is the definition?
Yes. It is knowing that what is in me, it is in you. Knowing that, going to the breaking down things. Now, for example, this is very spiritual, because I had this experience by myself. So I had this when I was in isolation. Can I give you an example?
Yeah, you can.
I'll tell you where my spirituality comes from.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
And not like an enlightenment, but when I came to this path, like when I realized this is what I'm enlightened with. This is very personal, but I will share it.
Lovely.
So in 2018, I was in Denmark, and I was in my final year of education. And just before that, because of some personal wrong circumstances, I was last in my class. Like I just passed with 1 mark. And that was not my thing at all, because I was a state topper in my 12th standard. I was always very good in studies. And I was also university topper when I was in UK. And going to that bottom hit me really very hard. I will not go into that personal reasons. So then I decided that this is not what I want for myself. And now I'm going to be in complete isolation. I'm going to remove all of the distractions, and I'm going to get myself up. And I was doing a double degree program. So it was a lot, architecture plus engineering together. That is massive studies. So I basically moved to a place where there was no one. I was living by myself. It was like a bachelor's. Yes, I was like in a bachelor's suite. And then I turned off my Facebook, my Instagram. And when you're in your bachelor's year, you don't have to go to university. You just go to university once, like in 3 or 4 months, just to see your teacher, like just to see the professor with whom you will consult your project. And so for 7 months, I had no mobile phone as well. I gave up on my phone, and I turned off my phone. I went to my university locker and I locked it. So I don't know how.
7 months you locked
7
your
months.
phone?
Yes.
Really?
I swear. And that is that.
And how old are you at this point?
I was 21. That was the thing that has changed my life actually. That is my, I'll tell you, this is where I got enlightened maybe. And so I was not communicating with a single person. I was just sending emails to my mom and dad like once in a week. And you will not believe, but every email I sent was so positive. Like I was so full of my life because I had no one to talk to, because I was just into myself. So in a day, I'll go out and I will go for a walk. Then I will sit in a park just to relax my brain from studies. And because there is no communication, there is no phone. When you don't have your phone around, you start observing every little thing in your life.
Yes.
So I started saying, oh, these plants are so beautiful. Oh, look at the sky. People will find me crazy. Yeah. But let me tell you, that was really the most truest emotion that I ever had, because that emotion was not intoxicated with any outside things. It was all coming within inside. And in that moment, I came to know more and more that world is about giving. And if I break down the plants, if I break down the human beings, if I break down any materialistic things in this world, it is all made from
the same matter.
Yes. So like everything is made up of that same matter. And then I came to know in that 7 months of time that I survived without the social media, survived without anyone right by myself. So that power is just inside of me. It's not anywhere else. And so spirituality for me is finding your path, having that greatest love, because love is the biggest emotion that anyone can hold on to. And just knowing that we are all on this, we are all same, like there is no difference. People are being racist, and you know, like even when you will walk on this road, you will see 10 people and you will be, not you, but someone will be like, hey, look at her hair, hey, look at her body, hey, look at him, oh, this guy looks better. There is so much of judgments.
Yeah.
But these are all just exterior things. So spirituality for me is to know your inside. Like it is that connection that whatever you have it inside of you. And I know that everyone has love, because some people will have love towards alcohol or love towards a person. It's all love. So it's just that where we put our love into.
Yeah.
So having that greatest love and having that love for everything, every person, every situation is spirituality for me.
Okay.
And when I feel that love in my heart, that's when I feel like everything in this world, for example, every dust, living, non-living, insect, animal, whatever I'm seeing, may everything walks or gets into a better place. And that, having that thought is spirituality for me.
Hmm.
It is not a god, it is not anything else. It's just that greatest love, because love heals everything, and it is love that you should always walk forward to in your life.
But do you believe in God? Now that you mentioned it,
Yes.
but you do believe in God.
For me, God is like a powerful source of energy.
Hmm.
Nothing. I'll be very honest.
It's not, you're not religious in that way.
No, I pray. But I also pray. Like I pray like when I get up, when I take my shower and everything before I leave my home. I have this temple in my home. I always do this agarbatti thing and incense stick thing.
Yeah.
And even when I go to my office, I always do that thing. So I have this God figures everywhere because I come from a Hindu family, and it is like, you know, it is rooted in your culture to do it. And I feel very positive when I do it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. But it is not like that, oh, if something goes wrong in my life, I will start blaming God. Or if I want something, I'll go to God. Or when I'm tense, I will start doing mantra chanting. No.
That is a very good
And
thing.
I respect every God. Even if it's not in my religion, but I feel like in the end, if so many people are attracted towards that figure, that means it must have some sort of a strong energy into that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with so many things that you just said, that about, you know,
Yes.
about the powerful energy that particular God has, and that the best thing that you said, that, you know, you never go asking for anything, you're not expecting anything in return,
Yes.
you're just acknowledging the energy
Yes.
that is there. And also when you talked about like, you know, that people might think like you're crazy when you were sitting in park and admiring plants and everything. Like it just occurred to me, like, I don't think it's crazy, because I do that myself sometimes. Like when I'm traveling on the highway, which I have to do like quite a bit. So I'm like looking outside. I'm looking at the. Yesterday I was admiring the birds in the formation that they were flying.
Yes.
Not like, of course you know that they fly like that, but you don't observe that every day.
Yes.
So I think just taking a moment to, you know, or even letting your attention go in that direction,
Yes.
you know, is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what the real happiness is. Like happiness is like, so many people, they go after this all big things. I want this car. I want this. It is important to have, because that, for many people, that will be a thriving force in your life to make more money, to get more facilities. That can be a motivation to many people. But then working for that things should not make you unhappy when you have the struggles. Because happiness is like being with, like I'm sitting here, I'm with you, I'm so happy, like it's just happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness is in every moment. If you really observe and if you really be in that, then it is in small things.
Yeah.
It's never in the big things, and it is never in the things, let me tell you.
True.
Things will come, things will go, people will come, people will go. It's that moment to moment happiness is so important.
Yeah.
And that is where the optimism comes from in your life.
You know, like, it's very, you know, nice that you mentioned this, that happiness is not in things and people will come and people will go. Like, I had that breakthrough revelation, okay?
Yes.
And for some reason, like, all of my stories include me being in Stockholm for some reason. So I was at this, like, it was my last day and we were having dinner, and all of us, we were there, and like, you know, and they were so kind enough, like one of the, like, you know, the friend's friend, like, he even got up and gave a speech for me because I was there and everything. And I never had, so that was an experience for me. I had never had somebody get up and say a speech or something. But that day I acknowledged this to them. Like, today I realized, like, I told them that, like, sitting like on this dinner table with all of you, I realized that people are more important. Like, and you will always forget what someone said. You will always forget what someone did. But you will never forget how they made you feel. Yes. It's all about, like, and that's where it comes from, right?
Yes.
That's the real happiness, and that's the real peace that you're talking about. That it's not in a thing. It's not what somebody said or did. It's how you're feeling as a person on the inside. Talk to me about, do you believe in luck?
Sometimes yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes you might have an opportunity, but if you don't have that luck, sometimes it does. Like, But I don't know where does this luck come from, but I feel like it comes from your power of visualization. That is when you get, that is like a driving force to push you towards that thing. I do feel that some people, like, okay, I'll give you 2 examples. No matter how, let's say for example, a guy who is so good in studies, but he's on the street without the luck of having the resources, he cannot go abroad. So sometimes I feel like, especially in India, this is a thing that luck plays a very big role. You know, we say that, oh, she's so lucky, oh, he's so lucky. So luck plays a role, but it's not the only force to help.
But I am very intrigued that, did you come up with that on your own, like that conclusion that yes, there is luck? Because I was very confused about it. Like I didn't know where I stood on luck. But when I saw like Warren Buffett talk about it, because a reporter asked him once, do you believe in luck? And when he asked that, I was like, what kind of questions that you're asking? What? Of course not. Like, why would, like, he's worked hard. Why will he? And to my surprise, like, I was so shocked and surprised to what he answered. He said, yes, 80 to 85% of my life is luck. And I was like, okay, now I'm listening. Now. And he explained it. And that's when I thought about it. Yeah, that's true. That's correct. What he said was that, like, I'm born in the time where I'm born, which was not in my hand. It's a luck, you know. I'm born a white guy and not like a black guy.
Exactly.
In the time where I'm born, that's luck. I'm born a male and not a female. That is luck. I got an opportunity where I was around that time when the economic situation of the country was about to like starting to get better, and I was not like fighting in a war or something. That's luck.
Yes, exactly.
So I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that.
Yes. I'll give an example. While you were saying these things, I exactly feel for one thing that I'm so lucky is my space architecture. Because space is a booming industry. Like, it's coming everywhere. It's like big boom. And then being this space architect, because even if you want to launch a spacecraft, you need a space architect to do the interior designing for it. Like,
and you are so proud about that, no?
I'm so proud of it, but not overconfident. Like, there are also a lot of challenges for that. But now people are planning on to go to the moon. For example, NASA is doing this mission and everything. We need space architects now. It's an emerging discipline. And I feel so lucky that somehow I was able to go ahead in this career, being it has an emerging discipline. Because there are so many students who go to this University of Houston to study space architecture. They spend like 70-80 lakhs and they end up working in an architectural firm. Whereas I did not study that course, but I have my own space architectural studio, which happens to be Canada's and Asia's first. And now we also have projects to keep ourselves going on. We are doing this exhibition. So I feel like I'm so lucky that, of course, I found these opportunities, I got these opportunities, I grabbed one after another. But it is luck.
It is luck because
Time.
you're like timing.
Yes,
it's
timing
like
lucky.
so like Oprah Winfrey defines it like luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So I think that's what it is for you. Like, you were prepared and now you have an opportunity to go ahead and explore it further. Talk to me about you have these ambitions, you have these dreams, and so many other people also have. They might feel like, oh, I have a crazy dream. They might think like that because people around might feel like, oh, this is different and this is like something else crazy or anything. How do you deal with, first of all, you know that you're a little different, right?
I know.
Okay. Then I can ask
because
you.
I don't vibe with everyone. So it.
And also your thought process is not like, you know, you already know most of the things that people are struggling to discover or, you know, find or get an explanation for. So how do you handle, like, when people are making you feel different, how do you deal with that? Or do you feel like there's something to deal with that in the first place, or no?
No, because people who cannot deal with you, they start following you.
They start
following you.
Okay.
And it is good to have followers, right, in life.
Okay.
So you become a leader when you are different. Not everyone can become
Interesting.
a one. So I definitely feel very different many times because first of all, the ambitions that I have, the discipline that I hold in my life, I haven't seen in many people, and which makes me so. And I don't like to waste time which is not going to take me further. I'm very much firm on that thing. I don't want any friendships, any relationships, any work, anything that is not going to take me further.
In your direction,
Further,
where you
yes.
want to
Further, not just means like in career, but also in terms of my mind, my wealth, my health, my spiritual, my everything that is connected to me. Even if it's a love, but I still want to go further in that. So I just walk away, and that is why I don't end up making so many friends. I have very, very few friends. Like you can say like 2 or 3 since 8-9 years, and there is a thing. The people who cannot accept you, like it's okay. The people who stalk you, think that they are your fan, so they keep stalking you.
Okay.
And people who cannot become you, they will follow you. So it is okay to be different, and one must be different, because I don't want to be, at any point of my life, I don't want to become someone else. I love myself, I love what I do, I want to continue what I'm doing, and I want to learn for myself, and I am at a very good place where I am at. And I don't want to copy anyone. I don't want to become anyone. And no one else should. Because your identity is what can never be taken from you. So appreciate that. Embrace that.
So that's what you would tell someone who's struggling, like who feels like, oh,
Yes.
a little different in a way, but maybe they don't have the kind of confidence, or maybe they're not able to tell themselves the things that you are saying. So this is what you would tell them.
Yes, I would. No, everyone I tell, like even my friends, I tell them that they. So I have this friend. She keeps stalking this Kylie Jenner's pictures, and she feel like I want to become one of that. I'm like, don't go further. Whatever you have, you are so beautiful in whatever you are. Like, just embrace that, because what you have, nobody else in the world will have. Every human being is different.
Yeah.
So you can wipe someone with the brain, but you cannot wipe someone with the same looks. If you wipe with the looks and the brain, you will not wipe with the wealth. So like, there is a reason that we are all different as an individuals. And because we are all different as an individuals, we all have that one thing that we can contribute as an individuals. And when you contribute your individuality into this world, that's when you will stand out than other people around you. And that's when people will learn from you, and that's when growth happens. So I'm very much okay. I don't even worry about what people will think of me.
Yeah, I see that.
Until I know that I am at a right place, I'm doing right thing, I'm not harming anyone, I'm not cheating on anything in anywhere. I'm being honest with myself, I'm being honest with this world, and I'm on a right path. I don't need to be worried what people think about me. They can think whatever they want.
About that thing, the thing that you spoke about earlier, like before this, that you don't give your time to people who don't value, who are not following, who don't fall in your plan, basically. You don't give your time to them. But still there are, people who feel entitled, like you should give them their time, or like, and probably if you don't like somebody watching or listening, they might have. Like people who are entitled, and it's hard for, like, the better question would be, how do you draw boundaries from entitled people to stay on your path?
Yes. First you have to identify that whom you're entitled to. Is it the right person for you or not?
No, that person probably is feeling entitled.
That you have to do this.
That you have to do things for them, or behave or be in a certain way.
Yes, I also have those kind of entitlements. For example, when my mom disturbs me during my work hours, though I love her so much, but I don't want to talk at that time. And I don't want to give her my time at that time. But then that is when the priorities comes. For example, if it's my mom, I'll pick up the call. But if it's somebody else from the outside with whom I'm also entitled to talk to regarding work, I will not. So when it comes to entitlements, then you should know what are your priorities, and you should keep them very straight. My friends, like my best friends, they keep on telling me, oh, since you came to India, you are so busy, you're not giving us a time, you're working here and all. But
that they guilt trip you like that.
Yes, they do. But I know that what is more important, of course, my friends are more important, I can make it up to that. And if they love me, they will understand.
Yeah.
And if they're being selfish, then they're not right for me.
Right.
So you will always know that things, this kind of things.
Yeah.
So you have to choose the path according to your priority.
And that makes it easier to draw boundaries and
Yes,
to,
yes.
Yes. Not
But for
be-
example, again, there's a thing. Now, if there's an emergency, of course, I'm gonna leave everything and go.
That's obvious.
Until it's not an
Understood.
emergency, if it's adjustable, why we should not?
Yeah. And you brought up one very good point also, like when you said that, oh, if your mom is calling you and everything, if it's urgent, you'll pick up. And so many people who, who have like immediate family members who are like, entitled, who don't, like who show entitlement and don't show that kind of support or anything for that matter, and you say that that's okay to even draw boundaries to that.
Oh, ignore it.
Ignore it.
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of, even in my family, I have some people who keeps bugging me.
Right.
But I know that in the end, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my brother who loves me the most. And if they don't have any problem with it, ignore it.
Some people who have like mom, dad, brother, sister, who are doing that and creating that trouble. What about that?
Become a listener. Listen to it.
Okay.
Let it out from another ear.
Okay.
My mom, like even in my home, my parents, they have this thing that they will keep advising me, even though I know. Even though I have not done anything wrong ever in my life in terms of my like choosing any wrong path, they're still always worried. And out of that worry, they keep advising me so many things. Sometimes I don't really like it. But then I listen, I become a listener. Because if I listen and if that makes them happy, do it. It's easier than arguing back or putting your point up over there. That will drain you.
Yeah.
So when there are things which will become a draining, if you talk back or if something like this happens, you listen and let it pass.
And yeah, more important, let it pass. Don't
in
keep
the end,
it.
do whatever you want to do, let it pass.
Yeah, don't keep it inside. Listen.
Let it pass. Yes.
Yeah, don't keep it inside.
No. There's a thing that only the things that you allow will affect you.
Yeah.
And the things that you don't allow, it has no power to do anything towards you.
Yeah.
So I believe a lot in this thing.
Yeah. That's why.
But you have to stop your brain. That is challenging.
Like how? What are you saying?
So for example, if there is a thing that is happening with me and I don't want it to affect me. For example, let's say my mom told me a career advice, which I listened, and I don't want to affect myself, then I will immediately get out after it's done. If I sit there, I'll keep thinking about it. But if I just get out after that and do something else, I'll be able to let it pass.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. That move. Like basically
yes.
what I get from you is movement is important.
Yes.
Like to not just sit there and
Yes.
let it consume you. Move so that you have a different
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yes.
Yeah. And because I was also going to ask you about that it can be draining, as you said,
Yes.
that to even like listen and deal with it or whatever. But once you move, you're like,
Yes.
as we spoke about, like your brain cannot focus on two things at a time. So if you're moving, it's focusing
Yes.
on moving. It's not going to think about what somebody just said. Say, for example, somebody who's doing everything, like they're trying to be disciplined, they're trying to like be self-aware, focus and refocus and use less social media and everything. But still, like if they find like, oh, it still seems unreachable or it's getting harder and harder and harder, and it becomes like a little hard for them, because this has happened a lot, like, in the pandemic and in general, like people feel drained, people get pushed to a point where, they're like,
Yes.
how do you keep going, like once you're pushed into that corner? Like, what do you tell yourself?
Yes, number one, if it is too hard for you.
And when you've done everything that you just said,
Yes.
what is
that thing is not meant for you.
because
If it is too hard for you, and if it is not it is upsetting you and giving you stress, too much of stress.
not that thing.
Yes.
I'm talking about the situation.
Yes.
When you have a goal, you are
Yes.
working on it, and there are so many uncertainties, say a pandemic, like COVID, this, that, family,
Yes.
anything in the family or health issues or anything for XYZ.
Yes.
But they're constantly doing things,
Yes.
but constantly like they feel like, they're
Yes.
pushed into a corner. And it's not about like what they're working on, it's the situations that are created that are not in their control, basically.
Yes.
And when those things happen like repeatedly, then what do you tell you? Have you ever been into that situation?
Not
No.
really. Because I always have this thing that if a situation keeps happening with me for 3 days, on the 4th day I'll do something else. Like I'll just change that thing so it doesn't keep on going always. Or I will take a trip, or I will do some hobbies that I love to do. So I will always engage myself into happy making things if there are events which is upsetting me over a long period of time, and I will always do that. I will not just go to it. But just like I said in the very beginning that it is not always raining and time never stops. So
Great. This is like
COVID is gonna go, like COVID is gone, now we have another viruses. They're gonna go. Someday it's gonna be healing, like the world is going to heal back again.
you actually believe that?
Yes, why not? Because you see, we had this so many polio. We had this polio. We had malaria. There were diseases for which we did not have medication for a very long time. We did not have vaccination for a very long time. Science has gone so far that we at least now know what kind of a disease it is. When COVID came, none of us knew, right? What is it? Even scientists were struggling to find out what is happening. But now when there's a new virus, they know, okay, what is the mutation? What is this? What we should improve in the vaccination?
Scientists knew what mutation is. I'm just joking.
Yes, but like now people are,
Yeah.
it is so easy to now find out the mutations of COVID.
Yeah.
Because we know what is COVID now. So there's always a way, there's always more than one way to the top of the mountain.
Okay. Yeah.
There is not just one way. There will be 10 ways to climb to the top of the mountain. Some will be challenging, some will be easier. The trail one will be the easier one, but then you can still go up to the mountain through a helicopter. You can still climb up through a rock climbing. There are many ways to climb up. So there's always a way out.
That's a good point.
This is a belief in my life that there is always a way out to every single thing.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And like it sums up everything, and it comes to a point very like naturally, organically and perfectly that what we started with, we came and we summed it up and everything. And so that's great. And now we'll move to a little more fun segment.
Yes, I'm very excited.
So
for
last time we already did like a curious quick five with you.
Yes.
So today we're going to do something different.
Okay.
We're going to play like a 5-second rule with you. You know what that is, right?
No.
So a question is asked like to both of us, like, you know, like it will be like one question will be asked to you, and according to the question, like you have to name the 3 things that come to your mind, like in 5 seconds.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. It'll be like a 5-round thing, like 5 each, and then let's see who wins. Are you ready?
Name 3 mountains.
Name 3 mountains.
Come on.
Wedge Mount, Mount Everest, Himalaya. No, Mount Abu Mountain.
Oh my God.
Mount Abu Mountain.
You lost. Next, second question. You lost. You're a space actor, you don't know mountains?
It was
We
very
just spoke about
spontaneous.
Okay, it's my turn. Come on, it's my turn.
Alright. Name 3 jobs you can get in a shopping center.
Sales girl, doorman, what else?
This was so easy.
5 seconds is really fast.
Which one is the other one? What job? What more? Like cleaner. I should have said that. Anyway, yeah. Next, it's your
Store
turn.
manager.
Okay, ready? Name 3 watch brands.
That's easy.
Tissot, Rolex,
Time.
Givenchy.
Givenchy, but we'll
Oh, sorry,
give you
sorry.
that. You won. You got it.
Okay. How do you spell that? How do you spell
Givenchy.
that? Givenchy. Okay,
And
I
it's
sorry, I
like
did
you
not
put
know
on-
that.
1 point.
Yeah, 1 point. Yeah. I hope I get this one. I want to be equal.
Name 3 tennis tournaments.
Grand Slams, Wimbledon, Olympic. Shit.
Name 3 types of natural disasters.
Earthquake, tsunami, tornadoes.
I hate you are getting all good questions. I am getting what you can get in a shopping center.
Your phone, your luck is.
Name 3 characters from Star Wars.
Captain something.
Captain America.
No, I don't know that. I've not seen.
Name 3 Western movies.
You don't know Western movies?
I don't watch movies.
Yeah, but you're done. Great, works for me.
This is not my.
My turn. I have to win 2 to beat you. I'm 1. It's 2-1.
Ready?
Yeah.
Name 3 characters from Looney Tunes cartoon.
Tweety. Tweety.
This was really bad question.
Name 3 potato chips flavors.
Tomato, ketchup, salt and pepper, onion.
Name 3 superheroes.
Superman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman.
Heroes, not a.
Captain America.
Yeah, you are lost.
I gave 4 this time. Anyway, you are the guest and you win. Good. Congratulations, you were very quick.
But
in that.
thank you for being kind.
So, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was so much fun. I wanted to do this part 2 with you just to have a little more fun. Last time we spoke about all heavy stuff, and this was fun with good spiritual stuff, routines, everything, and your mindset. It was great to dig deep in your mind and find out more about you and your thought process. So, thank you so much for taking the time and coming again on the podcast. And this has been fun. I hope you had fun.
So thank you so much, Shruti, for inviting me. I had a lot of fun with you.
Thank you.
And I think it's more fun because I'm not just giving you answers, but I also understand you as a person.
Really?
Yes, because then you also give your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So I also love to know people, and I'm also always curious about people around me. So I had a very great time with you, and I feel like I kind of vibe with you a lot.
Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for
And
coming.
I enjoyed here.
It's the energy.
And keep doing the great work.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
So we figured this is not a brand that we want to be all serious about. It's humor that would sell a product like this. It's humor because that's what the name itself, has. Nut job, that means crackheads. We're both crackheads. Like a fun company cannot be, playing by the rules. You cannot be very, this is this. इसका ये फायदा होता है, इससे ये होगा. We can't do that. The moment that we infuse humor is how this is going to sell.